Good morning, traders. Welcome back to Disciplined Trader Autonomy. Yesterday, I wasn't able to do the recording, but today we're having the weekly trading analysis for the week of the 2nd September. As we can see, we start with our DXY before we go to any uh, other trading. If you can see, the DXY is still under a falling wedge. You can see we are inside this falling wedge very clearly, like a wedge falling to the down. However, the DXY is still supposed to reach up to here, up to the end of the or up to the liquidity here to grab the liquidity. What is next right now? I'm expecting the market to at least move to the upside before we can move downside. I'm expecting it to come up to this level before we can see any reaction. Don't forget, this week is a very strong week. If we can see from our economic calendar, we are going to have the most important things is going to be on 17th, where we are going to have the interest rate and also the conference from the FOMC. So this week is really a strong week. We're expecting the interest rate to fall to 4.25, but around 25 base. But it is expected, the market is all expecting that it's going to be more than that. It's going to be 50 basis, which is 0.5% drop. We are expecting it to reach there, but if it drops below that, which means if it is uh, below the expectation or above the expectation, the dollar will actually drop or will weaken. This is one of the expectations we are having. You see, all this week is full of red. We are having the CAD. We have the CPI from CAD. We also have CPI from GBP, from pound, and the Aussie also. We're having the employment rate coming out, and from Japan also we have the interest rate from Japan. This is all for this week up to the end of the week. Be careful this week. Maybe you can make too much losses if you don't know how to do the risk management. Most importantly, you have to trade with a stop loss. Let's go back to the chart. This is about the DXY. If we are expecting the market to fall in DXY, that means the other currencies also will trade against it. Euro USD, according to the expectation from Euro USD, this is what I'm expecting. Let me clean up this. Yeah, the expectation is, as you can see, we are almost near to the high here. What is next now? I'm expecting the market to do some small pullback before we can see any move to the upside. Where is the target? The target is the previous high here. This is our target for the week, targeting this high. Don't forget, we have also high here, high there. So we are going to clean this high, and the high. GBP USD. In GBP USD also, we are expecting GBP. We are biased to the upside. We are not bearish. We are bullish. We are expecting small pullback before we can see also another move to the upside. The target is also that high. We're targeting this high by the week. That's it. I'm making it very simple. What I'm doing is just the bias. I'll break it down. If you want a top-down analysis, I'll have another video for that. This is a complete bias for all our trades. The Aussie dollar did very well this week. Last week. So what I'm expecting, small pullback to the upside, the downside, sorry, before we can see any upside. So I'm biased to the upside. If you can see already, we are bullish, making higher highs, higher highs, higher highs, higher highs, and we broke the high, and now we're almost going to the upside, because this is the last high that we've broken. So that's why we need a pullback. If I can zoom in so that you can see, have a clear vision of what I meant. We need this small pullback downside before we can move. Or maybe this is the pullback already happened, but I'm not going to take a trade from here. It has to come back down here. I will see it on a lower time frame to see where it's possible for us to move to the upside. So NZD USD. On NZD USD, we are also biased to the upside. It's, NZD and AUD, they follow each other. One is delayed and the other one is ahead of time every time. The market is already broke the structure. Now it's making high highs and high lows. What I'm expecting already move to the upside, down, before we can see any move to the upside. Target is this high. Don't forget we have another high up there. Okay? So before we can reach there, we need to clean this high. Then here we can decide if we're going to make another corrective structure before we move to the upside, or it's done like that. USD GBP, USD JPY. USD JPY, very fantastic. This one, it has been moving inside the channel. If you can see, the channel is really clear to the eye. You can even spot it from here and from here. We are still inside this channel. What I'm expecting, before I make any entry, because on Wednesday we are going to have the news. Before any news coming in, I might see some small pullback. I wanted to see a small pullback to the upside, then aiming for a sell. So my bias is sell. I have to see a corrective structure here. It can be up there or a small corrective structure here. It depends on how the structure has to complete itself. So for you, zoom in, see how the structure is moving around this area, because this is where the fall started. This is the gap of last week, open of the last week. This week we did not open with any gap. The market start moving to the downside, and then it will move to the upside. CHF, this is one of my best trades for the last 3 weeks. I said last time that the market has to make this drop, then a pullback, then it will go down before we can see any move. The aim is to break this low. We wanted it to break this low, here, sweep it before we can move to the upside. Maybe it's not going to be that high. I need to see this clearly moving to the downside before we can move to the upside. What if it doesn't do that? Yeah, it can also just sweep this low, then move to the upside. This is all has to happen between today and tomorrow, because on Wednesday we are going to see a very sharp move against dollar. That is expected, very expected. USD CAD, sorry, USD CAD. This is a very clear move that it has started to show weakness in the dollar. So what I'm expecting, this is what I'm expecting. Correction, move to the downside. Correction, move to the downside. Target is here. We might clear this one or even this one, because they're really close to each other. Then from here we can see what the future holds for us. GBP JPY, this is also fantastically moving very nicely to the upside. What I wanted, before we can move to the downside, I need to see a move breaking this high, then we need to move to the downside. This is what I can see. It's actually, because if I zoom and I go to a higher time frame, we are sitting at a support, a resistance, support and resistance. See, this is where the support and resistance is. We need to clear this area before we can move to the upside. See how many times, if you put it as a zone, you see how many times this zone has been touched. Now we broke above it. For those who trade divergent, there is a divergent here. There is a clear divergent here with the RSI. So this is a divergent. We have reached a resistance. We want to break to make a fake out or sweep the liquidity above this high. Then we can move to the downside. The target, maybe we can even reach up to 194.9. But for now, let us have something around 250 pips before we can see any move anywhere. Euro pound is clearly moving to the downside. I'm biased to the downside, not a buyer, seller. If I don't see anything to sell, I won't sell. What I want break, then retest of this area before I can buy, before I can sell to the downside. Because around this area, there is a structure that has to be broken. I want to break below this structure for me to sell. Structure need to be broken before any sell. For breakdown, I will do the breakdown in another video for each and every of these trade. This is just for buyers. You see, last time I was expecting this to be head and shoulder, but it failed, and market start moving upward. This is good because my real bias was to the upside, not to the downside. I wanted it to move to the upside before we can downside, but the opposite happened. What is next now? Before we can reach to our newest minutes, I need this to make a pullback. Then we can buy from here, from 1200, we can buy it up to 120 or 118 at least. 118, yes, this is 118. Up to 180 there. For those, you can take half of your profit and leave it open. We might even break the high of this all-time high. We shall make another all-time high by the end of September or the beginning of October. That's it. Gold, as I told you last time, gold is moving a measured move. I'm expecting a measured move, something similar to this. Because last time we saw a measured move, it was this move. So the market preparing for another measure move equal to that high. So we are almost to there. This is what I'm seeing, because every time when an impulse starts, it doesn't stop. It takes time to stop. If you can see, this is a move, another move, another move, another impulse, like that. What is next here? Gold is not going to rest. What I expect is accumulation around this area now. For the news, will accumulate around this area before a break to the upside. I'm expecting it to reach, if we didn't reach 4,000, I'll reach 3.8 psychological area. That's it. Silver, the same thing. Silver is doing good, and it's good for the investors. Also wait for some consolidation, some accumulation around this area before you can buy it also. Where am I reaching? I'm targeting 47. The target is 47. Last time we had a target to 40. We reached the target of 40 and now to 47. This is how we do the analysis for the week, and for the breakdown I will do it in the other videos coming. Thank you so much for watching. Wait for the next video.